Throughout this year, we've been bombarded by the media, constantly saying that the rising numbers in unemployment will lead to another stock market crash or a property market crash in the foreseeable future. While I do understand that unemployment is quite a sensitive topic, and there are many people out there who need a job and may not be on the benefits and living day by day just to meet ends, I sympathize with you. But to say that and make wild allegations that the unemployment numbers are affecting the property market or just the stock market in general is complete bogus. And I will debunk this myth and I'll shed some light into this topic. And just before I go further on, welcome to my channel. My name is Mihir and I upload educational content such as this twice a week. So if you're interested, please hit like and hit subscribe. But without further ado, let's get straight into the content. The reason why I hate the media so much is because they're constantly trying to push their agenda down your throat and just trying to get as much views as they possibly can. And just before I go on further, I know how counterintuitive this sounds, but please just hear me out, right? Based on what I've found, there's no strong correlation between the Australian unemployment rate and a stock market or a property market crash happening in the foreseeable future. And just please hold on. I know how counterintuitive it sounds, but hear me out, right? The demographic that has been affected the most, or by the majority, has been 18 to 24-year-olds, right? And just out of the blue, how many 18 to 24-year-olds do you know have a lot of money invested in the stock market or the property market? Heck, even their super, right? And as I go on, I just want you to understand, our economy was still fine before. It's just the reason we had to shut down was due to this bug going around and by government legislations and laws. Otherwise, if there was no laws, everyone would still be operating because no one really minds. But it was due to these laws we had to shut down. Otherwise, it was all good. And now, if I pull up a table up here, you can see the amount of individuals that have been affected in Australia. And you can see that the age group between 18 and 24-year-olds is 24.5% throughout Australia. And since I live in Victoria, I'll go more into Victoria. If you look in Victoria, you can see that there's 6% difference between unemployment between 25 and 34-year-olds. Since I can't zone in a bit more, I can guarantee you that they'll be below 30 because they just entered the workforce. They may have gotten their TAFE qualifications or bachelor's degree or whatever. They've just sort of entered the workforce. So they're pretty entry level and they're easily replaceable. Otherwise, people who are above 30 who have, good work experience, they may have been temporarily laid off, but suddenly they found another job. And I've seen this firsthand myself. Now, let's see how much money these individuals between 18 and 24 have in their super. So if I pull up a graph now, you can see that there's between 15 and 19-year-olds. I'll just go to 20 and 24 because I don't know many 15 and 16-year-olds that are working actively a lot. So I'll go into that. So based on that, you can see that this data was taken in 2015, 2016 sort of year, and it is $5,501. That's the mean superannuation balance. All right. Firstly, I don't know anyone salary sacrificing, adding, additional contributions into their super, but we'll stick with that and we'll just add another grand or so. So really, they don't have a lot of money invested in super. So they're not really in the market, or they're not affecting the market as you'd think based on how the news has constantly been telling you about this number. Even if we just ignore that figure and go just straight to fundamental analysis, how many 18 to 24-year-olds do you know that are actively investing out there in the stock market, excluding their super, just actively finding stocks or just putting money in ETFs or potentially saving up for a deposit or something like that? There's not many people like that. Everyone in that age group is concerned about partying or just chilling at the moment. There's nothing else going on. I don't want to keep blabbing on about my opinion. I don't want this to really be an opinion piece, so I just want to present more data. So I'm going to pull up another graph about first home buyers. So based on this graph, you can see that the demographic is under 35 and the amount of first home buyers is roughly 30% of individuals. But the problem with this graph is that it's under 35. And under 35 could literally mean someone buying a house at 33. It doesn't give a clear, concise image, but this is what I could gather from the data. I didn't want to use some other real estate data that based on an agent saying that, so I got this. So we'll make use of this. So if I pull up another graph from the same data, but the household reference age is from 35 to 54, we can see that home ownership skyrockets. It goes from 30% to roughly 55, 60% if you look at it, 55, sorry. and that's a 25% increase. And if you looked at the previous graph, you can see that the renting was roughly around 55%, and now that's dropped to 25%. So as they've aged longer, with the Australian dream, or buy your own house, the white picket fence, that sort of thing, everyone throughout after 35 started buying a home. But these graphs still don't necessarily give the clear image I want to sort of portray, and that is 18 and 24-year-olds don't really have much skin in the game. And with this data, I hope you can see that it's more towards the middle age and stuff, but the under 35-year-old graph, it doesn't really depict much, but that's the data I could gather. As the other real estate ones, I don't really believe in those ones, because an agent's, he's going to try and, boost his data up to get sales or his own agenda. I'm not trying to push any agendas here. But sorry, I got to go back to qualitative analysis for this one. So if we look at it fundamentally, if you got a teen, someone in their 20s, right, a young adult, essentially they finish up school, let's say they finish at 22, right, so they go from 18 to 22, they studied 4 years, and essentially they're in the workforce, and let's say now they're 27, right, so it's been 5 years since 22, assuming they're working full time. They might have a decent budget, well, you assume they'd have a decent budget, but the problem still lies is that many of them aren't willing to give up their lifestyle, especially this generation that we're in, and they're not willing to move further out. The thing is, Cranbourne, like the place I reside, houses used to be around 400,000, 450, right? That was the mean, sort of the average, right? Now they're going to like 600 plus, right? You can still get a house for around 350. I saw one recently for 400, but it's a two-bedder house, and I don't know the amount of millennials and this generation before me, and my generation technically, willing to spend around 400,000 just to get a two-bedder in middle of nowhere. Technically not, but still far from the city. It's because they're too used to their lifestyle, and these guys are more willing to just rent. Why live so much further out? We can get a house later, just rent where you want to be. And that's the mindset and philosophy they have. But overall, I think you can easily see that 18 and 24-year-olds, they don't have any skin in the game, and they're not big key players in shifting the property or the stock market, because they don't have any money in it to begin with. And this constant flabbergance of, the unemployment number rising, it's them. I do sympathize with them, but they're not affecting the stock or the property market. And I just hate these wild allegations by the news. And now you may be thinking, well, Mihir, I understand that, but what about the industries, the sectors that have been hit the worst, such as tourism and hospitality? I'll now go into that. Alright, so let's talk about the hospitality and the tourism industry. What happened with this is due to the bug being spread. So hospitality was shut down due to the restrictions imposed by the government. However, most of them are virtually gone. So the hospitality industry is back up and running, and the tourism industry is slightly getting back up to its groove. But like I've been saying, this sector really doesn't matter that much, because the predominant demographic is, once again, 18 and 24-year-old. I'll pull up another sort of data. You can see that based on this writing, which is highlighted, the median age of the workforce is 26. It's significantly lower than the national average of 40 years. It has been raised that younger workers tend to have other commitments such as study, and been suggested that employers have concerns about attitude and reliability among the sector's workforce. So you have that issue, and on top of that, you also have many people that are just wanting to either focus more on studying, or they're just partying or just messing around, not too serious. So that's another consideration that the unemployment number does not take into account. I'll now pull up a graph talking about the qualifications. So if you can see, based on that, many of these guys have a Cert 3, and this is tourism related qualifications. I don't know about you, but a Cert 3 in tourism isn't really going to get you anywhere else but tourism, as opposed to something like maybe computer science. You can go to data science, software programming, cloud development. There's heaps of options, or like bachelors of commerce, or maybe something like Cert 4 in building, carpentry. You can specialize everywhere else. Electrician, you can specialize there. There's just no options in here as Cert 3, so they're quite limited with that. And if I go to another graph which talks about the qualification occupation, which is essentially tourism related qualifications, you can see that many of them are catered towards travel consultants. Yes, they've been hit hard quite a bit, but once again, like you saw based on the data presented, the average person in this workforce is 26, and they don't have enough money, they don't have enough of a deposit they can easily build, and they don't have any skin in the game. I hope this short educational rant gave you some insight as to firstly why you should not listen to the media, never listen to them, but it gave you a better perspective about this unemployment number that they keep throwing out like it's like money or something. And to get a better perspective, this will not hurt you in the stock market or the property market here in Australia. Besides that, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to hit like, hit subscribe, and I'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.